Today's AMA is why gold is most often priced in US dollars. So there are a number of reasons why gold is most often priced in US dollars, and these are to do with structural factors and market conventions, and also the fact that the US dollar is still the de facto global reserve currency. So let's first look at these structural factors and market conventions. Now, global gold pricing is dominated by two venues which have the highest trading volumes. These are the London gold market and COMEX futures market in the US. So the London gold market trades huge amounts of unallocated paper gold, basically gold credit, while the COMEX market trades huge amounts of gold futures. And both of these markets denominate their trading in US dollars officially. So it's a market convention that the COMEX market in the US denominates its futures trading in US dollars, because when it launched gold futures in late 1974, they were denominated in US dollars. And the CME, the headquarters of the COMEX, is based in the US. But the London gold market also officially transacts in US dollars, and its contracts, bilateral contracts, spot and forward, are denominated in US dollars, as is the daily LBMA London gold auction. So with both of these markets, which dominate gold pricing globally, transacting and quoting and creating trades based in US dollars, then naturally these prices, which are discovered in these two dominant markets, will go out around the world in the price feeds of gold. And that's why you see a huge dominance of US dollar gold prices. Now, interestingly, back in 1968, in March 1968, before the London gold pool collapsed, the London gold market transacted in pounds sterling, as did the daily London gold fixing at that time. But when the London gold pool collapsed in middle of March 1968, it stayed closed for 2 weeks, and when it reopened using US dollars as the official transaction currency. And that was because the central banks at that time created a two-tier market where the free-floating gold price was allowed to let loose in US dollars. So the London gold market switched to US dollars. But that switch really was a reflection of the fact that the US dollar was dominating world trade at that time. But practically speaking, from that point onwards, there was a huge growth in dollarized financial instruments and securities on exchanges all over the world. And that created a situation where the US dollar had the highest liquidity of any fiat currency in the world. Now, looking at the US dollar as a global reserve currency, that's chiefly due to the fact that the international oil market trades in US dollars, and that OPEC countries and other oil exporting countries receive US dollars in return for their petroleum exports, which are called petrodollars. The US dollars used for these transactions are petrodollars. But beyond that, the mechanism, the pricing mechanism for global trade around the world is in US dollars. So central banks and nations, sovereign nations, have to hold a vast quantity of US dollars to pay for their international trade and their other international transactions. So that creates a situation where the largest percentage of currency reserves in the world are denominated in US dollars. So naturally, gold markets, oil markets, and other commodity markets will all naturally want to transact in the US dollar because it occupies the largest share of currency reserves around the world. Now, it isn't a case where the US dollar is the exclusive pricing mechanism for gold trading around the world, because there are gold markets which trade and price in local currencies. For example, in India MCX Futures Exchange has contracts denominated in Indian rupee. And in Russia, the Moscow Exchange has gold contracts denominated in Russian rubles. There are also some countries like Istanbul, which the Istanbul gold market in Turkey offers gold trading in both domestic currency and in US dollars, while in Hong Kong, the Chinese Gold and Silver Exchange offers both Hong Kong denominated gold contracts and US dollar gold contracts. But there are other gold trading venues like Dubai, where the DGCX Futures Exchange offers its contracts in US dollars because of the fact that its main target market is international traders. So to sum up, The reasons that the gold price is most often quoted in US dollars is because the two main markets, London and COMEX, which dominate gold price discovery, are officially transacted in US dollars. And the reason you could say that they do so is because the US dollar has the highest liquidity of any fiat currency in the world, and the US dollar is still, at this time, the de facto global reserve currency.